Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Girl with MS on MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. I'm Caroline Craven, a.k.a. the Girl with MS, where living with multiple sclerosis is more than just an illness. It's a way to empower our lives by making positive change. Over the course of our time together, we will be sharing many experiences with other MS patients across the country. As we know, MS is a snowflake disease and no two are alike. Every time we get the upper hand on this illness, we like to say, take that MS. We are especially grateful to interview Miss Katie Klingsporn today. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we are really excited. Katie she is a writer and a blogger and lives it's just so beautiful and fascinates me, and I'm really excited about this. But she grew up in the foothills of the Wind River Mountains in Wyoming, graduated from journalism school, moved to Telluride, Colorado, and after a decade of newspaper toiling, she left the papers and is a writer and reporter for KOTO Community Radio. This is really fascinating, too. Her work has appeared in National Geographic Adventure, Mountain Flyer, Southwest Colorado, Telluride Magazine. She's an avid mountain biker and reader and geeks out when it's time to go mushroom hunting in the San Juans. We are so excited, Katie. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
We'd love to hear about your MS story. When were you diagnosed with MS? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your adventure and journey with this illness.
Sure. Well, I've always been really athletic and really active and sort of a type A personality. So I worked in newspapers through my 20s and was the editor of a paper for a while. So my work life was always really stressful in my 20s, and I also, pushed my body really hard, snowboarding and mountain biking and exercising, and, had a few pretty bad accidents and injuries. When I was 32, I had a really stressful year in my life where I quit my job, I moved, I got a new job, I had knee surgery, broke up with my then boyfriend, and it was about 10 months of total stress. I then got another job, moved again, and was 2 months into that, living in Telluride, really feeling the pressure of work and life. And I went snowboarding one day in March of 2015, and took a pretty bad fall and kind of hurt my neck. And then 3 days later, my torso started going numb, and within a couple of days of that, it was completely numb. It felt like I had been attacked with Novocaine, and my hands and feet were really tingly, and sort of, it felt like, you know, when your limbs fall asleep and they're trying to come back to life. And I was just experiencing all these really weird neurological symptoms. So my first thought was that I had broken or damaged my spine in the snowboarding wreck. And so I ended up calling a friend's mom who's a doctor, and she said, go to the emergency room right now. And so I ended up in the emergency room, and they did an MRI of my spine, and they said, you know, your spine is fine, but your spinal cord has something problematic in it. It might be the first presenting symptom of something larger or something lifelong, something like MS. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe they would say that to me. It's so drastic and alarmist of them. And I was kind of mad about it, but my symptoms just worsened. I was feeling just like crazy buzzing throughout all of my limbs, and like I was having phantom itching in this one spot on my shoulder, and couldn't sleep. So they gave me this infusion of steroids, which was horrible. And anyway, long story short, they sent me to get a spinal tap and a brain MRI, and 10 days later diagnosed me with MS.
Wow. And that was 2015.
Right.
How has it been since then, the last couple of years?
Oh, life-changing in every way. You know, they tell you that you have MS, but then, you know, there's so much uncertainty that comes with the disease. The doctors say, you know, we have no idea how this is going to proceed or progress. We don't, you know, you might get better, you might not. So my first thing, it sort of knocked me on my face physically and emotionally, and it took a while to get up from that. And about 8 weeks after the flare-up, that everything had kind of subsided, and I haven't had any major flare-ups since then, but I deal with low-level symptoms almost every day. So it's changed every aspect of my life. I sleep a lot now. I'm careful about what I eat. I don't drink very much alcohol at all. I am easier on my body when it comes to exercising and pushing myself. I try to do less in general, because if I try to do as much as I did, I'd suffer. I'm less social, which is okay. I just kind of am forced to, I can't go to a lot of parties and a lot of social situations. It wears me out and really taxes me. So I'm managing it pretty well. People say to me all the time, wow, you look great. You must be feeling great. You seem great. And I don't have any outward symptoms. So it's also balancing sort of the way I appear on the outside and the way I feel on the inside, which is often pretty different.
I understand that so well. That's a great way to put it, that balancing the inside with the outside, because so often many of us do, you know, people look at us and say, well, you look great. Yeah, we assume you feel great. And it's like, do you want to go into the 24/7 of the low-level, you know, annoyances? And it's not something, you know, we want to focus on and talk about. But that's a tough one for sure. Well, I love the fact, of course, that you were sort of what I call an adventure athlete, and that was my life before MS. Skiing, backcountry skiing, rock climbing, all that stuff, doing what we can, but definitely pushing our bodies more than we do now. But how do you feel that sort of exercise helped you in managing MS and getting that diagnosis?
How do I feel that?
Maybe your experience with all your outdoor activities, you're being able to push yourself, even though you've slowed down. How did that help you manage your MS or better understand what was happening with your body?
Well, I would say more kind of it helped me mentally, and kind of what I ended up doing is switching my type of exercise from focused on pushing my body and working hard and taxing my body to make it stronger to sort of the shift that it was like what is more important now is just being outside, and if I'm getting exercise, that's good. And that's good for my body, but it's also really good for my brain to be out in nature and to have the quietness of it and kind of just be present with that. That makes me feel a lot better. So often, I've had over the last year and a half a lot of problems with dizzy spells, and if I spend too much time on the computer screen, I start feeling dizzy and a little nauseated, and so I'll just go for a walk outside, and as long as I'm out in nature, it seems to help me. So I focus more on that side of it, the benefits of being outside and doing those sports, rather than, I rode 25 miles on my mountain bike today, and that was really awesome.
That's an absolutely such an important point for us to focus on, is that importance of just being outside, being present, and enjoying what's surrounding you at the moment, and not worrying about completing the race. It's about the process. It's about enjoying the journey, right?
Yeah, and I think that new mindset is part of kind of the suite of gifts that I have learned, the important lessons that MS has given me.
Yeah, it's the lessons they seem amazing, and I know my own journey with MS, and they always seem like there's always a lesson all the time.
I know.
I wanted to go back a little bit. I really appreciate you bringing that up. I think being quiet, being present, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't take time to do. And I think if they do start taking time to do that, they probably see their life progress in a healthier way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's something that I never even thought about. I was a real busybody. I tended to occupy all of my moments of the day with doing, I had lived by to-do lists and was sort of like relaxing and quiet time felt wasted or wanton, and I think that's part of kind of my DNA, and I come from German Lutheran farmers. So it's been, sorry about that, it's been not an easy thing to learn, but it's been really important. And I feel like I'm kind of I'm sort of a processizer now, now that I was awakened to the benefits of just doing nothing occasionally and just sitting quietly and relaxing. I've kind of tell my friends that, and I see it in so many people that they also have this affliction of never slowing down, never taking time for themselves.
Yeah, that's so true. And that importance of slowing down and taking time. I can relate so much to that sort of busybody, type A, go, go, go. And what's interesting is I was a strong athlete, but strong in the sense that I could overpower a lot of grace and finesse by using my strength. I mean, I didn't do it well. Of course, nobody does. And I did find that after my MS, and I lost a lot of my strength in different things, that I became much more of a finesse player versus a power player. And that was a huge change in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of, for me too, has taken off some of the competitive edge. I would compete with myself. I would be like, well, you can do this, you can clean this whole climb on this mountain bike. I mean, you can do it, you have to do it. And I didn't forgive myself when I couldn't. And now I'm like, well, at least you're out there.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah, it's like people are like, God, you used to be so competitive, and now you're somewhat competitive, But
yeah,
I'm not.
But, it kind of lets you off the hook for that. It can be liberating. You're like, I don't actually care anymore like I used to, because you have to really, accept your new body and its new limitations.
You do. And then I find that even though I feel like I'm slowed down, quote, doing as much as I used to before my MS, but I'm actually finding that I am doing. Like now I'm almost as productive as I was when I pushed myself all the time. And I'm not pushing, I'm just going with the flow. It's like being in the river and not fighting it, not trying to power my way through. And it really can be such a beautiful life lesson, but it's a challenging one for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I love your word liberating. That's a great word. But now you're still able to ride a mountain bike, right?
Yeah. I still ride my bike. I still run. I still hike with the dog, snowboard, a road bike, and I do river trips when I can. I'm not a boater, but that's never good.
Yeah, no, that's great. One of my first symptoms I realized was my balance, and all of a sudden I couldn't turn my bike anymore. I clipped into the pedals, had my own Kona mountain bike, and I'm going down the biggest street in our town, and I realized I couldn't make a circle. Like I couldn't turn and pedal at the same time, and I went, oh, that's bad.
Yeah. That year before I got diagnosed, I experienced some of the same stuff. I kept falling on my bike, just stupid. Like, I was like, gosh, I'm getting worse at mountain biking. Same with my snowboarding. And I had this kind of thing plaguing me for months of like, am I actually declining as an athlete? This is so weird. And then, it all makes sense when you get diagnosed. And there was also there was little things, little signs before my flare-up like that. Like, I would have episodes where my hands would hurt for, a month or two, or I would have little electricity buzzings, and I always just thought, oh, well, that's probably some nerve damage from some surgery that I had before, or it's from typing too much, but all that stuff kind of makes a lot more sense when you get that diagnosis and think about, put the whole puzzle together.
Yeah, it does. It does. I had very similar symptoms like you did. I was living up in Oregon, and for the first number of years, I had numbness and tingling and different things, and I went in. The doctor said, well, it might be MS, might be other things, but they couldn't be conclusive. So I said, well, I'm not going to the doctor anymore, for a while.
Yeah.
But then I turned to my acupuncturist, and I looked at diet, and I started then, before I was even diagnosed, I started making changes to help better understand the correlation, between our life and our health. And I think people like us and others that we want to encourage to become become aware of your body, so these little changes do make a big difference.
Yeah, and you brought up acupuncture and diet, and those are two things that I use to manage MS. And I'd say another maybe like silver lining is that, I used to talk myself out of self-care, or I'd say, I can't afford a massage, or acupuncture is too expensive. And now it's not really a question. It makes me feel better, and it helps, and it's made me realize that, self-care is really worth it. A lot of people neglect giving them their own selves kindness and nurturing. But when you have a chronic illness like this, it kind of forces you to, which is good for us.
Mm-hmm. It is. And you hit, you hit on such a great point, because self-care, for one, which is a growing area, we're trying to encourage everybody to take control of their health. Self-care is so important right now.
Yeah.
And part of your Western medicine and all that is part of the self-care, but it's the bigger picture. It's what other things we can do. I used to do the same thing. I can't really afford that. I can't afford that. Or do I really want to put money in? I've got and you're like, well, how can I not afford to do it? Because that's what's making me and keeping me well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, all that wonderful stuff, cupping and acupuncture and massage and
yoga, just things that make you.
You do a lot of yoga, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's been, I've been doing it since my early 20s, so for a long time. But before I got diagnosed, I would say the focus of my yoga practice was more on fitness. And then once I got diagnosed, when I had that flare up and I felt separated from my body, there wasn't a lot I could do. So I just started with really easy yoga and like restorative classes and basics, and that I found, so beneficial to my brain and my overall health. And so that's kind of been a shift too. I don't do it anymore for is this going to strengthen my core? I do it now for this is going to make me just feel more relaxed and kind of in touch with my body.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I was a big, Ashtanga yoga person up in Oregon. You do all these things.
Oh, yeah, it's hard.
Right? I know. And I remember my yoga professor or guru at the time, said, you really might want to try some yin yoga, but I was all like, no, I got to sweat it and power it out. Of course, now all I'm doing is, the restorative and the yin and like you, it's like go back to the baby steps, go back to what we know and just nurture us and take care of us as much as we can. That's so key. I want to make sure I get your URL out there to everybody. We have a couple more minutes, but I just want to make sure. It's KatieKlingsporn.com, right?
Yep. KatieKlingsporn.com.
Awesome. Katie Klingsporn. We're going to put that up on our website too, so we'll get that up there. Before we go, and I love this because I can talk to you all day long about MS. And one thing I wanted to ask you is when you still have I would take it could have a stressful job, working radio and being a freelance writer. You get deadlines and different things. How do you best manage your stress on a day-to-day basis with deadlines and work?
I just don't procrastinate. I think that's probably the best way. I was a daily newspaper writer for a decade, so I can produce stuff pretty fast and pretty fast at writing, but I just I'd say the best way to avoid the deadline stress is to get stuff in early. So I do not wait until the last minute, because that's what's going to keep you up late and make you lose sleep and all that stuff. And then I just, like, when I do feel stressed, I just try to relieve that by knowing that I really enjoy my work. So at least I get to do something that I really enjoy.
Oh, that's great. Those are two wonderful points to leave with. One is don't procrastinate. And I am finding myself, there's certain things I still am procrastinating with, and they're the only things that are stressing me out. Everything else, you touch it once, get it done, put it out the door, your life is better. It's those things that we don't deal with and put on the back burner that can add a lot of stress. Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not perfect at it. There are times when I'm like, oh gosh, I overbooked myself, but I just try to get things off my plate as soon as I can, so I don't have to worry about them anymore.
Mhm. And the second item you hit, say that one again. Okay.
Was just knowing that I really enjoy the work. So it can be stressful, but I'm doing something that I love.
Yep, and that's so positive. We want to do that, you know. Find the happiness in what we're doing. Find the joy in our life. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great. Okay, Katie, I can't thank you enough. This has been so wonderful, and I love talking with you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. And everybody, so remember to stop by KatieKlingsporn.com. And remember to always stop by thegirlwithms.com for tips and tricks to live better with MS. Thank you for joining me today on Girl with MS. And don't forget to listen to my show next week at the same time here on MS&Me Radio. And take that, MS. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you so much, Katie. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you, Caroline. Yeah.
Really, really nice. I love the fact that we can just talk, and we have so many similarities because
I know. It's nice.
You know, I'm so grateful I lived that life. I couldn't do half the stuff or even 1/10 of the stuff I did back then, but now, you know, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, so how can I check this out?
Oh, okay. We will post it on Sunday. They will put, you know what, actually I'm going to check and see if it's this Sunday or next Sunday. I may wait till next Sunday so I can do some advertising about it. Usually it's a once a week, but I'd rather kind of do once every other, you know, whatever. But I'll keep you posted on that for sure. And then they put it up on the radio. And then it becomes a YouTube thing, so then we can share the YouTube talk. They're doing some technical stuff, though, to improve the site. So it's kind of cool.
Okay,
really
great.
cool.
Well, yeah. Keep me posted, and I'll definitely share it, too. And I'd love to listen to it and see how it goes. So
excellent. Thank you, Katie, so much.
Yep.
We'll keep in touch.
Okay,
talk
sounds good.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.